Hello, everybody. Hope everybody is doing good this Friday. Welcome to Embroidery Happy Hour. You guys won't believe it. I was in the wrong live stream. But I'm here. I made it. Thank goodness I checked early. But anyway, guys, welcome. I am glad that you are here to spend Friday night with me. This Friday, I decided to talk about the topic of embroidery pricing. And for those of you guys that are new, hi, I'm Jeanette from Boricua Sewing Crafts, and this is usually how I do my embroidery happy hour lives. For the first hour, I will be talking about the topic and all the research that I have done on it, to even share my experience with it. After the hour, I do like to go down the chat, say hi to everybody, and answer any questions that you guys may have. Okay. So, as I stated before, I wanted to talk about embroidery pricing. It is something that a lot of folks do reach out to me and always ask me about. And that's a very popular question that I usually see in a lot of the Facebook groups, especially folks that are very new to embroidery and they just are doing something and they need to sell it. And they kind of have a lot of questions about how they should be charging for the embroidery. There's a lot of things that people think about when they are trying to price them. And there were four things that I thought about and I wanted to share because I'm sure I got my little notes and everything like that. I'm sure that as I go down this, these are things that little concerns that you're going to have when you're be thinking about the pricing. Okay. The first thing that I had written down on my notes is first question that a lot of people kind of really concerned, regarding the pricing is, what if I charge too much? Will that make my embroidery unattractive to customers? Okay. That is one concern that a lot of people have, because they're kind of like trying to figure out what would be a fair price or a good price. You don't want to go too high, you don't want to go too low. But the thing is, sometimes folks feel like their pricing is a little bit too high and they feel that it may not attract the customers at all. Okay. The second thing, and I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on these four items. Okay. The second thing that I have, if prices are too high, will other competitors be able to take the customers from me? For example, sometimes you see a lot of little shops like in Etsy. They sell very similar items, but the thing is, you have a big price range, right? Sometimes people will sell something that's like super high price. Then you have those that are low. Then you have those that are medium. You sometimes want to think about, what if I end up like, I know that this is going to be my price. Are folks gonna like just undercut me and they're gonna take away the customers? Big concern, but we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Then the third one is, if the prices are too low, I'm not gonna be able to make any profits. And that is a big one. That's what I feel like a lot of people make that error on. They always try to compete with other people, always try to give them, folks the lowest price. But then what ends up happening is you end up losing sight that you may have made that sale and and they may have bought it from you. But then when you sit back and you really start looking at the numbers wholeheartedly, you end up finding out that you really didn't make any money at all. Then the last thing that I put down was, can I raise my prices later if there is a lot of competition out there? So let's talk about these four a little bit because they are concerns in the embroidery pricing world. So one of the things is, I figured let's peel the onion a little bit and let's take a look at some of the things that are pros and cons regarding the pricing world. Okay. Especially in embroidery. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, embroidery is really a luxury item for a lot of folks. Okay. There are so many different things that folks can do. They can do sublimation, they can do vinyl, they can do print screen. There's just so many things. But embroidery is a whole separate animal, in my opinion, from all the other things. Okay. There is a lot of planning that goes into embroidery. The digitizing, the test stitching, a lot of the different color threads. You got to have the right machinery. And sometimes, and what I mean by right machinery is, you got to have the embroidery machine. You can do it on a flatbed or you can do it on a multi-needle. Sometimes on a flatbed may take you a little longer because you have to manually change the color threads. But you know what? Even when you have a multi needle, sometimes it can take you a long time as well because you got to set up the machine, right? So, there is a lot of things that you have to consider when you are talking about the embroidery world. But let's touch on number one again, okay? And that's when, what if I charge too much? Is it not going to attract the customers? My response to this is no. What's going to not attract the customers is if your work is sloppy, okay? First of all, if you want to be able to charge top dollar, you got to make sure that that embroidery that you are providing customers is top dollar work as well, okay? Nobody's going to want to pay top dollar, and then all of a sudden you have a lot of loose loops in your embroidery. The design doesn't sit well. You didn't use the water stabilizer when you should have. And then the embroidery looks sloppy. Maybe you didn't slow down the machine in areas that you should have. Maybe you didn't use the right weight thread. So, it all really depends on the quality of the embroidery that you are providing. Okay. Now, I did have a customer a while back, and he wanted me to do all his shirts, and he also wanted me to do hats. Now, I gave him an estimate of how much it was going to cost. I guess he was using another embroiderer before, and they gave him like rock bottom prices. And he wanted to know if I could match it. I was like, nope, I don't work that way. That's not how I price my items. I did get a sample of what the embroiderer did for him before, and I could tell that that was rock bottom price embroidery. Okay, so I just told the customer, this is how much I'm going to charge for the hats. This is how much I'm going to charge for the shirts. He didn't agree with the price of the shirts. So I said, that's fine. You can have your shirts back. And then, but he said, go ahead and you can do my hats. One of the things that he noticed right off the bat when he received the hats was that the embroidery that I performed was more, it was a better quality than the embroidery that was performed by the other embroiderer. Okay, there was a lot of fraying going around the patch. You could tell that it wasn't a very clear embroidery. So I'm not, I'm just saying that you get what you pay for, right? So they charged they I believe their price was $8 a hat. I charged $10 for the hat because it was just really a small embroidery. It wasn't even that big, didn't even take long. So I said, okay, I can charge I think they charged 8, I charged 10, $10 per hat. So I had to make 11 hats. So the other thing that I noticed is on the embroidery that they did with the shirt. When I looked at it, they didn't use 2 sheets of stabilizer, they used one. And I could kind of tell that within time, the embroidery kind of looked a little worn. So, he didn't want to pay what I asked for on the shirts. I was fine with that. And I just said, okay, you can have your shirts back. And if you want, you can just go to that embroiderer and they can make the shirts for $10 a pop. But I wasn't going to do shirts at $10 a pop, especially when I knew that shirt was going to be underneath my needle for a half hour. So, will you have customers that are going to shy away when your prices are high? You may end up, if they are high. But the thing is, make sure that the work that you do kind of justifies that high price. Okay, you don't want to come out and say, the embroidery is at $20 when all of a sudden you take it out of the machine and it looks like it should have been $5. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's something that that you really, you don't have to be concerned about. But if your skill level can back up that high price, I think you should be good. Okay, a lot of times one of the things that that I find working with my customers is that because they know that the products that they get from me is going to be a very high quality, they have no problem paying the prices that I kind of give them. Okay, I do sometimes find that the customers that are just looking for an easy embroidery, they really don't care about the quality and they just want me to just do it for like pennies. I gotta be honest with you, I really would prefer that other companies deal with them. Okay, because I actually really take really good pride in my work. And I prefer to work with customers that appreciate that. I don't do the quick embroidery thing just to make that quick dollar and stuff. So it really depends on what it is that you want to do. Okay. The other thing that people say is the prices are too high. um, will competitors be able to take away your customers? In my personal opinion, it really depends on what kind of relationship you have with your customers. I do have customers that are, I don't want to say that they're loyal, but a lot of times if they find that an embroiderer does it cheaper, they still come to me for the simple fact they know what they're getting. Okay. They know the type of quality that they're going to get. I've had customers that sometimes I do the work for them, then they go and they try somebody else, and then they're like, "Oh, big mistake. Should have just went to Jeanette." Because sometimes they find that maybe the embroiderer just kind of did a rush job, and you can actually tell bad embroidery. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't believe that if your prices are high, that competitors can just steal them. It really all depends on the customer. I understand, everybody likes to save money and everything like that, but if the quality is really, really important to that customer, and you have proven to that customer that quality is what they're going to get, chances are they will be okay with paying what you ask. Now, I'm not saying that you could come out and say, "Hey, it's going to be $1,000 for a shirt." I'm not saying to go that high, but what I'm saying is, when I talk to the customers, I always make sure that it's a fair price for everybody, not just for me, but for them as well. Okay. Because I'm not there to rob the folks that I embroider for. But if you have a fair price and you show them the quality of the work that they're going to get, and you explain the process to them, chances are that competitors are not going to be able to steal those customers from you, because the customers know how you work. They know the quality that they're going to get. So they're going to be fine with it. Okay. Then the third one is price is too low and I don't make any money or profits on that. I find that this is an error that a lot of beginners make. Okay. What they do is they try to do, I don't mean to sound mean, but it's kind of like the copycat thing, right? Which, hey, I get it. You're new to the game. Okay. I mean, embroidery is very expensive. You bought a machine. Now you got all this supplies and stuff like that. You want to make a quick buck, right? But this is the catch. Are you making a quick buck, or are you just making a sale and not making any profit? Okay. Because if you're running at a embroidery business, it is about profit. All right. So just because you see somebody sell something for $5, you could turn around and sell it for 4. But the thing is, are you going to make a profit off of that? Right. And this is the thing also that I need you guys to really think about. Okay. I find this kind of amusing sometimes when I see people on Facebook and then they say, "Hey, I want to do this embroidery. How much should I charge?" You get that question a lot in a lot of Facebook groups. A lot of people come out and they always ask people, "Can you tell me how much you charge?" The problem that I have with that is that there are so many things that you have to consider in a price. And what I charge may not be suitable for you to charge. You could be, and the zip code plays a lot into it. Okay. Sometimes people, the level of income of where you're at. I don't know how much you paid for your thread. I don't know how much your electricity costs. I don't know how much you paid for your machine. I don't even know what your hourly wage is. So what I usually price my stuff could be totally different than what you should be charging your stuff. Okay. I don't even know what your profit margin is. All right. So you should be thinking about how much of a profit you want to make when you are embroidering items. Okay. That is something that you should have in the back of your mind. You have to take the time to actually calculate to make sure that when you finish that job, you're going to meet that profit margin. All right. A lot of times what happens is people just give prices right on the fly. It's like you'll be somewhere and then somebody says, "Hey, I got this towel and I just want to do initials. how much do you charge? Somebody will just come out easily and say, oh, I'll charge you $15. Then next thing you know, when they say, oh, okay, I want it, can you make it 4 inches initials? Can you make it 10 inches initials or whatever, right? Then quickly you're going to be pissed off at yourself because you went and you threw a price out there and you didn't get the details of what's required of the project. Okay, I always tell this to folks: never provide an estimate right away. Never. If somebody asks you, hey, can you do this? Yeah, I know how to do that. How much would it cost? That you would, that's your place where you would come on and say, okay, well, I'm going to need more details about what it is that you need. For instance, are you gonna want what colors? How many colors are in your design? How big is your design? Because remember, the bigger the embroidery, the more time it takes. Okay, where do you want the embroidery to be placed? Some materials are more difficult to embroider on, and some other materials is much easier to embroider on. Sometimes if you want a patch, I have to do twill. If you give me a towel that's very, very fluffy, I might have to add knockdown stitches. I'm going to have to add water soluble stabilizer. I might have to double up on my stabilizer in the back. I may have to get a design and get it digitized. Then I have to test stitch the design. I have to figure out how long is that embroidery design going to be under the needle of my machine, because it's going to be occupying it. And then I have to consider my hourly rate. So there are so many things that you have to think about before you blur out a price. And I noticed that a lot of times people do that era. Okay, they always, unless it's something that you have done repetitively, right? So like, I'll give you an example. Like now people are doing the Easter baskets, right? So the Easter basket, you guys already know how much you paid for the Easter basket. It's just a name that you're putting on the Easter basket. So whatever your price is, that's what it is for all of it. Okay, all of them. So like for me, I'm in my neighborhood, I've been charging $15 for the Easter baskets. Okay, I only get them for $5, I think, and they under my needle. Literally, the most time they're under my needle is about like maybe 4-5 minutes, and that's because sometimes I just run the machine a little slow. Okay, sometimes it's a little faster than that. So I'm like, to embroider one Easter basket, $10 profit, I think that's great. Okay, but the thing is, you have to make that determination. I don't know how much you paid for your basket. I don't know what type of embroidery you offer for your basket. I don't know how long it's going to be under the needle. I don't even know what your hourly rate is. So you have to consider all of that stuff, and you have to calculate it, which is why I always tell people, never, ever shout out a price without really doing the homework. I always tell people I need 24 hours before I can give you an estimate, because there's so many things that I have to look into. Highly recommend that you guys use that, because if you go ahead and you split out a price and you don't have a good understanding of what it is that the customer wants, you could end up kind of messed up. And then it's like you got to embroider it because you already blurted out the price. And if you up the price, you're going to have to explain to the customer why. That's why I'm like, let's leave the drama out of it. So let's just tell them, hey, tell me more details about the project so that I can get a better understanding of what I need to do, so that way I can price it appropriately. Okay. So the other thing that sometimes people are, and I notice they're very afraid of that, can I raise the prices later if there's lots of competitions? Yeah, you can raise your prices, but make sure that you're raising the prices because your work is better. Okay, it's got to be better quality. Okay, people pay for quality. They're not going to give you top dollar for something that's mediocre when they could have got it somewhere else. Okay, so there are certain things that I wanted to advise you on how to price things that you can kind of set up. This is what I have myself. Okay, this is called my embroidery price sheet. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about some of the items that I have on here. It's something that you may want to do this on your own, and it can help you a little bit on, what to think about when you're pricing stuff, regarding supplies and all that kind of stuff. So the some of the materials that I use, okay, like the stabilizers. All right, now how do I come up with how much cost is it per stabilizer? Well, I have down here that I get a package of 100 sheets of cutaway stabilizers for $12.99. So what I do is I divide the 100 into the 12.99, and all I know is that for each sheet of stabilizer that I use is 13 cents. Okay, so that's how I do my price breakdown regarding the materials. Okay, so on my stabilizers, I kind of break down the prices. Okay, for cutaway, for tearaway, I put a little price for topping. I put a price for the sticky stabilizer, and I even have a little price for my tender touch. Okay, so how much you want to charge for each of these items, or and it's not that I charge it. What it is it's just a way for me to be conscientious of how much all the materials is costing when I'm working on something. Okay, it does help me to add to the estimate, so that way I'm not making sure that I'm not shortchanging myself. So what I recommend that you create your own embroidery price list, and you go ahead and you do like little columns of little materials of items that you use. Okay, so the first that I just told you was stabilizer. Now the other thing is put another column for stitching. Okay, now the reason why I say that is because some people kind of charge in a different way, right? Some people like to charge a certain amount of money per a certain amount of stitches per minute. I usually don't do that, but if you want to, you could put it in there. Some people, especially if you have a flatbed machine, they sometimes put something in there for color changes. They also put it in there for heat vinyl transfer if you're doing a lot of applique and stuff like that, and also fabric changes if you do applique as well. So applique, even though it doesn't take long to do, because it's not all embroidery, it's mostly some of the edging and a little bit of the design. What you're doing is you're cutting thread, you're cutting the vinyl, because sometimes they like to use the sparkly vinyl and stuff like that, but still that costs money, right? So what I would do is just list some of those things down. Another thing that sometimes people charge is hooping. Okay, and the other thing is blanks. All right, blanks is a given. Okay, so if you are providing the onesies, if you're providing the shirts, if you're providing the bags, if you're providing the baskets, make sure that you are incorporating the price that you paid for in your pricing. Okay, also, let's talk a little bit about the embroidery file itself. Okay, sometimes you can have a customer that'll come to you with an embroidery file. I did have one that did that, and I'll never do that again. I'm gonna be honest with you. I will always tell the customer moving forward that I have to digitize the file, the design myself. The reason why I say that is because they went and they purchased an embroidery file for someone. And I think for those of you that have watched me for some time, know that I'm talking about the Champion dog. Okay. Now that file was digitized by someone. And apparently, I don't know if this was a new digitizer or something, but the file did not come out right. They really didn't do a good job. And I ended up taking that design and asking other digitizers to tweak it. But actually, as much as the other digitizers tried to tweak it, it ended up being very, very problematic. So I ended up just taking the file itself and having it fully redigitized by someone that really specializes in portraits. And they did a phenomenal job. But the thing is, it was a headache. I did about 9 different test stitches to try to get that design right. So that was really a lesson learned for me. But embroidery files, you do want to charge for the digitizing. Okay. Now, I will tell you this. If I am only doing, if they have a design and they want me to digitize it and all they want it is on one shirt or just 5 shirts or whatever, I will charge a digitizing fee. However, though, if it is a bulk item, okay, then what I usually do is I tell them, okay, to digitize the file, this is how much it's going to cost, okay? And you get a test stitch. If you go ahead and you place your bulk order, I will credit that money that you paid for the digitizing to the sale, of the embroidery service. Okay. So that's usually how I work that. The reason why I do that, okay, is because having someone digitize a file and then you having to test stitch it costs money. Okay. So usually what I'll do is I'll tell them it's $25 or $30 to get the file digitized. Once I have that digitized and everything, I show them the sample stitch. If they like it, which a lot of times I've never had anybody say they didn't, they'll come on and say, yep, this is what I want to do. And then I'll say, okay, they already paid $30. So I go ahead, and when I do the test stitch too, by the way, I do keep track of how many color changes were in there, how many, if I have to buy thread. And I also pay very special attention to how long that design is going to be underneath my needle. Okay. And one of the things is I have 3 machines, right? So let's say in 20 minutes, I can, if I have a design that takes 20 minutes to embroider, okay, and that's if it's smooth. I'm not talking about thread breaks or anything like that. So sometimes it can take a little longer, because if you have a moment where there's a thread break or your tension's off or something like that, it may take you a little more than 20 minutes. But I know that in 20 minutes, because I have 3 machines, I can do three shirts in 20 minutes. Okay, so I take all of that into consideration when I'm doing my estimates. Okay, if you have 1 machine, you know that it's just one shirt that you can do at a time. So sometimes your price structure will determine how many machines you have. The more machines that you have, honestly, the lower you can kind of go on your price, because you can produce them a lot faster. Okay. So, that's something to think about. Because I have the 3 machines, I can price 3. Now, let me talk to you guys a little bit about the hourly, because this is something that a lot of people sometimes kind of like go back and forth on. I have seen a lot of people where they say, hey, I got an embroidery design and it has 20,000 stitches. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to charge $1 per 1,000. So it's $20, right? And then that's it, right? For me, it's a little bit different, because I charge really by my time. Okay. So I have my hourly rate here. Okay, so let me tell you how I do this. Okay, so for every hour I charge $60, and then you can break that hour into half hours, right? So if I have a design that's going to take me a whole hour to embroider, okay, it's usually $60. If I see that the embroidery is only going to take a half hour, then it's a $30. And if I see that it's something that's going to take 15 minutes or less, I charge 15. That's the hourly rate. Okay. Now, is that my flat rate for everything? No, because the thing is, like I said, it really depends on other things as well. Okay. If I have a very complicated design or something like that, sometimes I don't deviate too much from it, but it could. Like if I have to use metallic thread, if I have to use 60 weight and 40 weight, the needles and stuff, and I have to slow down the machine and all that. You got to factor all that in. Okay. So just something to think about. The thing that I really don't like about that, hey, per thousands of stitches, this is how much it's going to be, and this is how much it's going to charge. I really feel that you gyp yourself when you do that. And I'm going to tell you why. The thing is that sometimes you're not taking into account the other things that get involved in embroidery. For example, the cost of your stabilizer, the cost of all the thread, the cost of your electricity, and all that kind of stuff. All those things you really should factor in. So, I'm not saying that this is a cut and dry formula, because like I said, everybody's different. Okay. But the thing is stuff that you can kind of think about when you're trying to formulate your prices. All right. So let me go back to my price sheet and let me tell you what else I have on here. Okay. Let me see. Okay, so I already told you guys about the stabilizers. I told you about the stitching. I told you guys about the hooping, your blanks, and your embroidery file. Now, the other thing that I also have on my price list is my Etsy shop. Okay. The Etsy shop, I always like to think about, my listing fees and also the selling fee, because, Etsy's going to want to cut whenever you make a sale on Etsy, right? So I have to calculate that in the price of items that I put on Etsy, because I want to make sure that, it doesn't hamper the profit that I want to make. Also, the other thing is the shipping costs. You got to think about that. Are you going to eat up the shipping costs, or are you going to tell the customers that they have to pay for the shipping? If you're going to be the one that's going to eat up those shipping costs, then my recommendation is that when you are pricing your items, calculate those shipping costs in your item that you're trying to sell on Etsy. Because if not, then what's going to happen is you're the one that's going to eat it, and then it's going to bite right into your profit. Okay. And when we're talking about shipping, let's talk a little bit about the shipping supplies. All right. You got your boxes, you got your bags, you got your the bags, any labels, any advertisements. Let's talk about that. The clear bags that I use to put the item in, because I don't just take the stuff and put it in a shipping bag. I actually put my items in a nice clear bag, seal it, and then put that in the shipping bag. So all of that costs money. Okay. Does it cost a lot? Because look, I got down right here is my clear bags are like 8 cents each one. The shipping bags, let me see, I have them as 13 cents. My labels are 4 cents. They're not huge amounts, but they do cost money. Okay. So just be aware of that. You want to keep track of all of the items that you use and how much it's costing you per item every time you're embroidering. Okay. So whenever I pull out a sheet, a stabilizer, right, for a polo shirt, and if I double up that sheet, it's 26 cents that I just spent right there. Okay. So, you want to make sure that you keep track of all those costs when you're pricing and stuff like that. Let's see. Uh-oh. Did I lose? I had something else that I had in here. Hold on, give me a minute. Where did I put it? All right, hold on. Oh, there it is. All right, so those are some of the things that I wanted to mention. Now, there are other things that I found here that you should consider when you're pricing your embroidery work. Okay. Now, one of them was building your price sheet. Okay. And I already talked to you a little bit about some of the things that I have on my price sheet and everything. I also have my hourly rate as well and all that kind of stuff. But remember, this is all consideration. That's why I tell you, when someone comes to you and say, hey, I want to get this embroidered, how much does it cost? I always say, don't give a price. Don't, train yourself not to blurt out a number, because you can regret it later. Because then next thing you know, when they say, oh, I just have a towel and I want you to put initials on it. And then they come to me with the fluffiest towel, very, very fluffy towel. I know for a fact that the thread is going to sink in there and all the fluff's going to go over it, I need to use knockdown stitches. I already blurred that it's only going to be $15 for an initial, right? But the thing is, not only did they come with the fluffiest towel, they also said, oh, I know I don't want the initial to be 1 inch. I want it to be 5 inches, right? So that means that towel, not only is it fluffy, but it's going to be under my machine a lot longer because it's a very big letter. And then it may not even come out right if I don't put the knockdown stitches, right? So I already told them $15. Knockdown stitches an extra, okay? It's going to be a lot longer on that machine, okay? It's probably going to, add a lot of time because remember, knockdown stitches creates that layer so that all of the fluff has a flat surface. That way, when you embroider on it, it's not going to, you're not going to have anything popping up. It's going to look nice. And then when they wash it, it's going to look a lot better. You're not going to have, it won't get buried. Okay. So I have videos on how I do knockdown stitches. If you're interested in the channel, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, trust me, it's something that is really, really good. It comes with a module of it's called Enthusiast for Embrilliance. And it's a very, very good feature to have, especially if you are embroidering items that are very fluffy, okay? Because, like I said, you want your embroidery to not only look good when it comes off that machine, but you want it to also look good after several washes and several uses, okay? Especially, if you're charging top dollar for your embroidery, you want the customers to know that they're really getting something of good quality, okay? So, yeah, so make sure that you have your price sheet, okay? Also, if you have a physical store, okay, or you meet with your customers locally, one of the things that I always tell people is be very, very confident when you meet with your customers, okay? Customers will be able to tell if you don't have the confidence in what you do. And look them in the eye, make sure that you explain your prices, be confident in your prices, be confident in the quality of your work, okay? The last thing you want is when you meet a customer and you are like kind of like undecisive, or you kind of like don't, they can sense it. They can sense it in your approach. Look them in the eye, explain the process. If you don't want the customer to feel like, oh man, okay, she was nice, but it didn't look like she knew what she was doing and stuff like that, okay? Especially if you want to be one of those folks that you want to price your item and have top dollar, okay? And you don't have that confidence in your skill set, and and being able to show them what you can do and all that kind of stuff, and explain your pricing and why you price it that way, the process and everything like that. Customers love it when they meet you and you're confident and you know what you're doing, okay? That is something that's like so super important. So, if you have a physical store or you are selling locally, that is like so super important. Now, if you're selling online, that really doesn't matter because you really don't have conversations with these people unless you ask them to call you and stuff like that. They could hear your voice, and they don't see you, right? So, selling online is sometimes a little bit easier because a lot of times I find that people that sell things online usually are selling products that they know already how to make and make well. That they're not, they're not, it's not, really custom work, okay? Sometimes it's just designs that people do over and over again. But if you are doing like local work, or you have a storefront, you're going to have folks that are going to come and they're going to really be asking for a lot of custom embroidery, and you got to have the confidence in knowing how to do that and stuff. Make sure you have a process in place, and make sure you have a good understanding of how you're going to price that too. You got to remember the pricing online is very different from when you do custom work. Okay. And the confidence is really, really important. Okay. And then also right here, I have set up your digitizing and setup fees depending on the complexity of your project. That is something that a lot of people miss the mark on. They just say, yeah, I can do that, but they really don't understand how complex a design can be. Perfect example of that is the champion dog that I worked on. Okay, I had to work with a lot of digitizers to get that file correct. And that is a very complex design. Okay, I have to use it's not all 40 weight thread. Some of that design is 60 weight, so I have to use 7511 and 65/9 needles. And I also have to slow down the machine in certain areas of that design as well. So you want to make sure that you have an understanding of that, and that you are pricing accordingly to that. Okay. So I did talk to you guys a little bit about that. And then increasing prices in the portion of a stitch count is recommended. Okay. Now, what do I mean by that? Sometimes you can have folks that will go to you and they'll say, hey, I have a jean jacket and I want you to embroider this big design on this jean jacket. Well, guess what? You know, you're gonna be watching that machine for a long time. Okay. So I have heard, I think Marlene was one of my subscribers, and she's also part of our Facebook group. She got an Easter bunny design, right? And she said it took a very long time for her to embroider that Easter bunny because of the detail level that was in that design. It was a beautiful design and it came out gorgeous. Okay. And she was doing it on a couple of baby blankets. But I'm going to tell you something. She even said it took a very, very long time. One of the things that I commented was, I hope you are pricing accordingly. Okay. So you really have to pay attention to the stitch count, and also do pay attention to the time. I'm not saying, don't pay attention. I'm saying do pay attention, but know that that's only part of it. Okay. There's a lot of things you have to consider when you are setting prices for embroidery. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of times customers don't understand why embroidery can be so expensive. Two reasons. First of all, it can be very time consuming, and you got to have that right skill set. Okay. It is not just plopping something in a machine and turning on a button. And what I mean having the right skill set is you want someone that is very experienced and knows how to run the machine and work the machine. They know how to properly set up the item for embroidery. And what I mean by that is they have a very good knowledge about types of fabric, types of stabilizers, needle sizes, thread thread weights. They know where to they can go fast, where they can go slow. You got to have that knowledge, because what ends up happening is, you can really mess up the work and it can come out looking really sloppy and cheesy. You don't want that. You don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? So, you want to make sure that you're offering good quality work. And I'm going to tell you something. When you do really good quality work, customers have no problem paying. They really don't. What they do have a problem paying is for sloppy work. That they do. Okay. So, be careful with that. Now, this is something that I actually believe into. This was something that when I researched, one of the things that they said, don't go offering too many quantities and price breaks discounts. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, I am a firm believer of that. My Etsy shop never goes on sale. It does not go on sale. Put that stuff on sale once, and you're going to see that customers that want to buy your items are going to wait for the next sale. They'll put it in their cart, but they will not pay full price for it. Okay. I already have all my stuff reasonably priced. There is no reason for that to go on sale. And I don't do discounts. Okay, and I have had customers come and say, well, hey, I'm a returning customer. Do you give us a discount? No, I don't do discounts on returning customers. I ain't going to do that. You know why? Because the project that you gave me the first time could have been the easy one, and now you want a discount on the more complicated one. And why would I chip myself? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, no. So be careful with these discounts. Everybody loves a coupon. Okay. I know that. Carlito will tell you. I was the one that walked around with a coupon book back in the day when I was a single mom raising him. Okay. We always went for the free stuff and everything. But the thing is, you got to be careful with that because you don't want to be in a situation where people will try to discount all your prices. I don't negotiate prices either. Okay. The reason why I don't do that is because I know what's fair. Okay, I know what's fair. I've done, that's why I don't give prices right away. If somebody asks for a price, I tell them you need to give me 24 hours. After 24 hours, I'll let you know how much it's going to be. Okay. And I do, but I don't let the customer know if it's a large quantity item. I look at the time, how much it's going to be. I got 3 machines, so I calculate how much I can get per hour, how much a profit I want to make. And and sometimes what I'll do is I'll say, you know what, it's 100 shirts. I'm not going to charge for the digitizing. I'll eat up the digitizing cost because I'm making a big profit anyway on all this stuff. And this is how I look at it too. If they didn't pay for the digitizing file, the file's really not theirs. And I already have the file. They know the quality of work that I do. They're going to come back and they're going to bring more shirts. And that is usually what happens. Okay. I usually have repeat customers because they know that I already have their file digitized. They don't have to repay that file and have it. If they go somewhere else, then guess what? They're going to have to pay because I'm not going to give, especially if you didn't pay for the file, I'm not going to give it to you so you can give it to another embroiderer. They're going to have to do it themselves. You know what I'm saying? So, just think about that. Don't be too quick on the discount because then what ends up happening is you could be discounting yourself into a situation where, you're going to be discounting everybody. And customers talk. Okay. Don't think that, customers don't talk to each other. Okay. So if somebody comes to you and they say, oh, can you give me a discount? You say, yeah, well, I don't really do that, but I'll give you 20%. Then they're going to talk to somebody. They're going to say, oh, that's beautiful embroidery. It is. It's really nice. This is who you go to. And you know what you do? Just tell her, oh, well, can I have 20%? She'll give it to you. You don't want that. You don't want that. Trust me, you don't want that because it's going to really, really upset you and it's going to mess you up. It really is going to mess you up. So stay firm on your pricing. That's really, really important. If you know that the prices are fair, okay, you're not robbing them, but at the same time, you're not working for free, then stick with your prices. Okay. As long as you got good quality work, you're going to be fine. Okay. The other thing also is include the cost of the goods you sell. If you have a shirt, okay, you're selling shirts or you're selling bags or whatever, okay, make sure you're incorporating the price of that bag along with the embroidery service. Okay, you're not buying the bags to give them away for free. Okay, I've heard situations where people will just double the cost of an item. Okay, you can do that. Okay, some people do that. Or some people say the cost plus half and then the service of the embroidery. You could do that as well. Okay, but the bottom line with this one is make sure that you're getting that money back. Okay, that you pay for that item. Now, when it comes to the blanks, when I'm dealing with my local customers, I usually prefer that they bring their blanks with them. I don't want to get in the business of inventory. I don't want to get in the business of, okay, I bought the shirt for $5, so I got to charge them $10 for the shirt, and then I got to charge them for the embroidery as well. I don't want to get in the business of all that. I personally, and you can if you want to, because like I said, everybody's different, okay? My thing is mostly the embroidery service. That's what I like to charge. Okay. So when I have customers that say I need 100 shirts or 50 shirts or whatever, you know, for you to embroider, what I usually do is I tell them, here are some wholesalers where you can buy the items. After you buy the items, only thing I ask is you tell me where you got the item from, and then I'm going to tell you how much the embroidery service is going to cost per item. That's what I do. Okay. Um, the blanks, like shirts, jackets, whatever, they come in different sizes, textures, and all that kind of stuff. The last thing I want is to get a whole bunch of shirts, and then people tell me they don't like that shirt, fits too tight, it fits too loose, if it's too snug, it feels rough, it feels too soft. No, I don't want to deal with it. No, just get what you want and bring it to me and I'll embroider it. That's how I work. Okay. I do tell them that, stay away from certain types of fabrics or stuff like that. I'll advise them on that, because sometimes I'm not exactly a fan of it, because sometimes I'll know that maybe it's little, like I'll tell them, don't bring silk over here. I don't want to see satin. Okay. Because sometimes those are types of fabric that, depending on the design you have, you can end up with a lot of puckering. Okay. So that I will tell them, but then I also give them like different websites and stuff like that. And I tell them, this is the wholesalers, just go buy, and then, and then just bring them to me. And then I will just charge for the digitizing. But if you're bringing me 100 shirts, I'm not even going to bother charging you for the digitizing and stuff. But I do collect the money up front, because I'm not going to go ahead and start digitizing stuff and doing test designs for free. You know what I'm saying? So, just something. So, this is something to think about. Okay. Now, if you're offering premium products, make sure that you're charging the premium prices. Okay. And that is very, very true. Okay. Don't shy away from it. A lot of times people, what they do is they say, well, I think it'll be too much. No, it's a quality product. But you remember, that's the key. It's premium. If you have a premium product, then you do the premium prices. Don't go to the dollar store. Okay, guys, you don't go to the dollar store and buy a dollar store towel and say it's $100. That's not going to work. Okay. I mean, it's got to be a really good quality towel. And if it is a very, very, and I'm not saying the dollar store doesn't have quality stuff, but what I'm saying is you got to make sure that whatever it is you're offering is good quality. Okay. And then that's when you can charge the quality prices. Okay. I'm talking about the blank, the embroidery, everything, the whole package. It's got to be top notch. All right. So, but if you are doing that and you're spending a lot of money on good quality products and stuff like that, and you're doing all the right digitizing and everything, then you can do the premium prices. Okay. Don't shy away of that. Don't think to yourself, God, I don't think they're going to pay that. No, they will. If they see that it's real good stuff, trust me, they will pay. They won't pay if you price it so high, and then it's really the embroidery doesn't look right and the material's really cheap. That's when you're not gonna make it. Okay. The other thing is, be competitive and keep track of prices from your competitors as well, how much they're charging. Okay. Tracking competitors does not mean that you emulate their prices. All right. So let's talk about this a little bit. All right. So you should always be watching your competitors. And the reason why I say that is because you can learn a lot from them. regarding their pricing and the quality of their embroidery. Okay. One of my favorite things to do, okay, is I love to read my competitors' reviews. I don't really focus on the good reviews. I focus on their bad reviews. And it's not that I want to wish anyone bad, but it's just that that is where you're going to learn where the mistakes are happening. Okay. So if I see that somebody, did embroidery and they washed it or something happened, let's say the customer's not satisfied with the product in some kind of way, a lot of times what they'll do is they will describe why. Okay, why they're not happy with that embroidery. Okay, that is an opportunity for you to learn. Also, when you're looking at the competitors and you're learning from their mistakes, look at how they price their items as well. Now, just because you see that they charge $19.99, I'm not saying that you should be charging $19.99. No, I'm not saying that at all. But it gives you kind of like a ballpark figure. Okay. And when you're looking at the competitors, look at the high end of the pricing and look at the low end. And see, and try to figure out, like, so you get a sense, right? You get a sense of where's products are, right? Now, when you're looking at your competitors, also look at similar competitors. Okay, for instance, let's say that you don't do custom embroidery like I do, right? Let's say that you just want to go ahead and you just want to sell certain products, right? And you just want to do personalization, something simple, right? You just want to sell bags, you just want to personalize the bag and sell it. Go on Etsy, go on eBay, go on Amazon, go on all these things and look up listings for products that are very similar to what it is that you want to sell. You want to get a feel at the pricing structure. Okay. You might see that some people price high. You may see that some people price low. But one of the things that you should be doing is looking in depth in those listings. All right. Look at the type of material that they are using. Look at, is the bag the exact same bag that you're offering, or is it bigger? Is it smaller? Also, look at the type of embroidery that they're doing. Okay. Or is the personalization big, small? You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's just so that and all this is research. This is all research. I am not saying that you should be going out there and saying, oh, look, I'm selling I don't know, I'm selling tote bags. And all I'm doing is I'm putting initials on tote bags. This person is selling the tote bags and they're putting initials on tote bags and they're selling them for $24.99. Well, there's a problem if you say, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to tell you where the issue is with that. First of all, you don't know how much that person paid for that official of that tote bag. They may have bought it wholesale. Okay. They may have only paid $1 for it. Meanwhile, you're running at Walmart and you're spending $15 for that tote bag. Okay. It may not be the exact same thing, but it's probably similar. So the cost of that actual product is different right away. You're paying 15, that person's paying $1 because that person is probably buying it from a wholesaler, okay, from overseas. And when it gets here, they got like 500 of them. So because they only paid like $1 or $2, or let's say $5, their profit margin is going to be a lot larger. Okay. So because they got it at such a cheaper rate, they can lower their prices. But because you bought your blank at a higher rate, you may not be able to lower your prices, because if you do, you didn't make no money because you didn't pay the same for that tote bag as the other person. So you got to be very careful with that, because the costs are different. Okay. Just because you see someone with something similar selling at a certain price, it doesn't mean that you should be just mimicking that price. Okay. You should be thinking about how much did the items cost you? How much is the embroidery going to cost you? And you have to come up with your own pricing. Okay. You just use it as just for research. And what ends up happening is, I notice when I tell people do the research and see what else is out there, what they do is they go and they research it, and then next thing you know, they're just copying. And then they're like, well, I didn't make any money. Or they'll come back to me and go, oh my God, their prices are so low. How the hell they're making money off of that? Well, they're making money off of that because the cost of getting that blank was so low. You know, they're paying $1 and you're paying $10. That's why they could sell it cheaper. You know what I'm saying? So it's just something to think about. Okay. The other thing is pricing embroidery work shouldn't solely depend on the count of stitches, but also several other complexities. And I think I touched on this already, okay, which is how many color changes of thread, the time that it takes, the the type of garment that you're embroidering on, the type of stabilizers that you're going to use. Is there anything extra you're going to have to do on that design so that you can embroider it well? And I talked to you guys about the knockdown stitches. And this is the other thing that I do want to emphasize with you guys as well. Okay, is sometimes when you are doing embroidery, it's always going to look nice when you pop it out of the machine. But one of the things that I tell people is the reason why I say it's so important for you to do the homework is because when you do your embroidery, you don't just want to do a nice embroidery, pop it in your machine, take it out. You want to put some thought into this process, and you want to come out and think to yourself, how is my customer going to be using this embroidery? For example, if the embroidery is going to be on a shirt, okay, that shirt's going to get washed a lot. I know in some embroiderers out there only use one sheet of cutaway stabilizer, and they do fine with that. For me, it depends on the design that I have. If I have a design that is pretty dense, I like to use 2 sheets of cutaway stabilizer. I also sometimes slow down the machine. You gotta, the thing is, that's where I go back to the quality. Okay. You want to make sure that the embroidery doesn't just look nice when you pull it out of the machine. You want to make sure that it continues to look nice as the customer uses the product. All right. Because that is where you're going to be different from other people. And it goes to the example of the guy that came, gave me the hats and the shirts. And, he said, I only pay $10 a shirt. Well, I looked at the shirt and I was like, I could see why you pay $10 a shirt, but okay. And when I turned over, they used 1 sheet of stabilizer, and I could tell it didn't wash well and all that kind of stuff. And it looked like it looked kind of sloppy. You could tell it was a rush job. Same thing with the hats. Okay. He was like, well, I only pay $8 a hat. Well, I could tell why you pay $8 a hat. I mean, it's frame, they didn't seal the patch. They didn't sew it on correctly and stuff. It's frame. You could already tell that it's not doing well and stuff. So, sometimes, that matters. So quality does matter. It's very, very important, so you got to make sure that you're not just saying, oh, this is a stitch count, this is all I'm going to charge. There's a lot of things that are involved, and you got to make sure that you take that into account when you are pricing things. Okay. So, going back to it, doing a price sheet is a good start. Okay. And you got to make sure you have an hourly rate. Okay. Like for instance, I do 60. I like the number 60. I think 60 is easy. It's good for me. I don't have a lot of overhead. I'm working straight from my home, so I don't have to pay rent. I don't have to, pay insurance, electricity. I pay electricity for home and everything like that. But it's my overhead is not as high. Okay. So because my overhead is not as high for someone who has to pay rent and all that kind of stuff, their overhead is higher. So they have to make money to pay for all that overhead. So I can be a little more flexible with my pricing. That's why sometimes my pricing can be a little lower, but I do not lower them where I'm giving away my stuff for free. Okay. So guys, yeah, so that's what I wanted to share with you guys tonight. It is 9 o'clock. All right. So I already see there is a lot going on in the chat. So I am going to go through the chat right now, and I hope you like the topic. I didn't want to like throw formulas at you and stuff like that, because a lot of people had to have a miss thing. They think there's like magic numbers that you can throw out, but there's just you can't. You have to figure out what is the pricing structure that's going to work for you. Okay. That's why it kills me when I see people all the time. They go, how much would you charge? How much would you charge? And I'm like, okay, there's a lot of things that go into that. You can't just throw out a number, because I don't know how much you pay for that blank. I don't know where you live. What is the cost of living? I don't, I mean, it's different, so, what would sell for $20 here may not sell for $20 somewhere else. So there's so many things that you have to think about and stuff. So, I hope, you guys understand why I wanted to present embroidery pricing this way. It's because I want you guys to think about all of the things that you have to consider when you're setting the prices. I didn't want to come out and say, hey, look, here's a sample of an embroidery. This is how much you should charge for it, because it's not going to work. Okay. It's not going to work. It's very, very different and stuff. I know it's not a popular answer. It's not something that people like. I know people like things to be easy, but let's get honest and let's be real about this. Okay. Embroidery is not easy. Okay. Embroidery is very unique. It is a luxury item. Okay. It's not just, printing out a piece of paper of sublimation and just ironing it on a shirt. It's a lot more complex. Okay. That's why embroidery is pretty expensive. A lot of people love it because it's very long lasting, it's durable, but the thing is, it does cost money because it takes time to do. And it can be very, very complex when it comes to pricing. All right. Especially if you are new to the game and you really don't understand, because you're still learning, right? You're still learning. So it's like, it's really hard. It is hard. Okay. But I hope that what I shared with you guys give you guys something to think about, so that you can, understand, how to price your items. The last thing I want is for someone to, be running their business and they have their prices so low that honestly you're working for free. So you might as well just say, I just do it to pass the time. Just say that, say I do it to pass the time because I just like to donate my work, because that's really what you're doing. All right. So, and let's be honest, when you're running a business, it's about money. Okay. Yeah, you want to help people. You want to help people. And that's why I say I like my prices to be fair. I'm not out to rob the customer, but at the same time, I'm not out to be out of money either. Okay. I have to make money as well. So as long as I know my prices are fair and I can talk to the customer with confidence and let them know why it's priced at a certain time, at a certain price, then I'm good. I'm good. And I am confident in my pricing. And one thing I will not do is I don't discount. That is for sure. I don't discount, not like that. I don't do the back and forward. The negotiation is just not going to happen at this shop. You could do it at another shop, but it ain't going to happen here. That's for sure. Okay. So anyway, guys, I am going to now go into the chat. And I just want to say hi to you guys. And, Bob, I see Bob hit first again. That's 3 weeks in a row. Okay. So I think he's going to go for a record, So how you doing, Bob? Hey, Judy. I see Robin. I see, let's see. Here goes Bob. How you doing? And I see Judy. Judy hit second. Okay, Judy, do you think you could beat Bob next Friday? I don't know. We'll see. I think there's a race going on now. Hey, Robin, how you doing? Let's see. Hey, Cynthia, how you doing? Happy Friday. Hey, Leslie. I see Leslie in the house. Hey, Latoya. How are you? Hey, Terry. How you doing? Jenny Owens. How are you? I see Iris over here. Um, hey, Debbie. How are you? First time seeing this on Buffalo, New York. Welcome, Debbie. Let's see. Pretty Eyes. How are you? How you doing? Let's see. Who else? Hey, Berendino, how you doing? Oh, I think I screwed up the name. I think I screwed it up. Bernardino. Bernardino. Hey, Nancy, how are you? How you doing? Um, let's see. I see Faith. Oh, hope you and Mello are doing well. We are. Mello is. He's napping outside the door right now. He is. But I'll get him to say hello in a minute and stuff. He's snoring and stuff. Hey Faith, how you doing? How you let's see. Hope your mom is doing okay. Mom is doing really, really good. Thanks for asking. Mom right now is in New York City hanging out with family. She's having fun and stuff. She had her sister visiting her for a little bit, and then now they are all in New York having a good time and stuff. And once she gets home from New York, I think I do want to make a trip out there to see her, at least spend a week or 2 weeks with my mom and stuff. So I am planning on taking vacation down there. I want to go before it gets way too hot. That's for sure. Okay. I really hate going down there between July and August because I feel like you just sweat like crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, but I do plan on going to visit soon. I'm just waiting for my mom to come back and stuff. So we'll see. Yeah. So hey Nancy, how you doing? That's my sister, everybody, from Gifts HQ. Um, let's see. Let's see. I'm going down. Hey, Jackie, how are you? How you doing? I see Jackie there. She's in the house. Hey, Barb, how you doing? Good evening, lady. Hey, Deborah, how are you? How you doing? Let's see who else we got in the house. We got Beth and Chuck. How you doing? Happy Friday. Let's see. Am I missing anyone? It's been a rough week. Time to catch up on the crafting. Okay, looks like Nancy's been running around. She's been kind of busy. Hey, Marsha, how you doing? Hey, SK, how are you? From sunny North California. Hope the weather improves in the eastern state. We are going to have a rainy weekend, but that's okay because I have some new designs that I want to stitch out. I have been playing around with Embroidery, so I got some new designs. So as it's raining, that's okay. I'm going to stay in and I'm just going to work in my room and stuff. I'm all caught up in my orders. I specifically, I mean, I do have other orders that I have to get done, but I chose this weekend as Jeanette's weekend. So I have no orders this weekend. And I'm excited because tomorrow and Sunday, I get to just focus on what I want to do in this room because I got tired. I really got tired of doing a bunch of polo shirts and jackets and vests, and I don't want to do it anymore. So what I did was I actually, in my appointment book, I actually blocked off this weekend. So this is my weekend to have fun. And because it's raining, I was like, okay, well then that's more perfect because that gives me a time to really just snuggle in. So I'm just going to be wearing my pajamas all day tomorrow. And I'm actually going to turn on my sewing machine. And I'm actually going to stitch out my new embroidery designs, and I want to put the new listings on Etsy because I haven't put new listings on in a while. And I want to do that. And then I have a couple of gifts that I want to give to some of my coworkers that are leaving. I have some coworkers that have decided to retire, and they're really cool and happy for them. So of course I'm going to do some embroidery gifts for them and everything. So yeah. And I am, guys, I'm not sure, but I'm still thinking about it. I believe I may be retiring a little bit earlier than I normally thought I would. Okay. I am, officially retiring in September of next year, but I think I may end up retiring a little bit earlier. I don't know. We will see. But I'm pretty excited. If it does happen for me, I'll be like, oh my God, this is like so like super awesome because that means that um no more getting up at, well, I think I'll still get up at 3 o'clock in the morning because I'm so conditioned to do that. So because I usually get up like super early and then I head to the office super early so that, because I kind of like working in a very quiet office setting, because I do have a learning disability and I need to really focus. And the folks that I work with are pretty awesome and we like to kind of joke around and work at the same time. But some of the stuff that I have to work on, I really have to really be focused. So to do that, I usually go like really early before everybody gets in so that I can really focus. That way when they come in, I can do the routine work and really enjoy my day. So yeah, so but I know me, I'll probably end up getting up still early in the morning. I probably won't be going into an office, but I can focus more on my embroidery and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know, we'll see. I mean, it's something that I'm thinking about. I'm thinking I'm going to do an early retirement. I'm not sure. We'll see. I will definitely let you guys know because I know then I will have much more videos coming out on this channel for sure. I probably will be like my embroidery sewing log. So I'll probably just every so often pick up the camera and go, hey guys, look what I'm working on today. And I'll probably be like, I'm going to sew a pouch or I'm going to do a bag or, I'm going to do a new embroidery, different types of embroidery and show you guys some orders and stuff like that. I'll be able to really put a lot more effort into this and stuff. So yeah, so I'm pretty excited about it. So I don't know, we'll see what happens, right? We'll see what happens. So I'm starting to wonder, should I have told you guys? But anyway, it's just something I'm thinking about. I don't know, we'll see if it happens. Hey Barb, I agree on the pricing and quality. I don't bicker on my pricing and I don't compare my pricing with others. I know my business and my production numbers. Very good. See, and that's the other thing too. You guys got to know what your overhead numbers are. You guys got to know what your bottom line is going to be and everything. And and I'm sure Barb would tell you, this is something that you learn in time. Okay, this is something that you learn in time. It is, you're going to make mistakes in the beginning with the pricing and everything, and that's okay. Because as you get more involved and stuff like that, you're eventually going to learn that, okay, I may have to up my prices because this isn't working, or I may have to lower my price. You will make the proper adjustments that's going to work for you. Okay, but the thing is, yeah, don't sell yourself short. Okay, and this is the other thing too. I find a lot of people do this. They will lower the embroidery price just because they want to make a sale, just because they want to make that sale. But I want you guys to think about this. Okay, let's say you did that. Okay, you're very anxious, you want to make a sale, you know your work is good and all that kind of stuff, and you have a certain price, right? It didn't sell. So then you go, okay, you lower it, and then you lower it, and then you lower it, right? And then it sells. You're happy that you made that sale. But if you ran those numbers and you saw that little bit of profit that you made, this is what I want you to ask yourself. Do you feel good? I mean, do you feel that, and I don't know how am I going to say this? I want to say it in a nice way, okay? Do you feel that you got paid for all the effort for what it was worth? Or do you just feel you got pimped? You know what I'm saying? Like somebody just pimped you up. They just they got you to work hard and they gave you almost nothing. You know what I'm saying? No pay, no tip, no nothing. Okay. you want to make sure that when you make a sale and you priced it, you profit, and that you feel good about the money that you received. Okay. If you sold something and your profit was only $1, okay, I don't know how I would feel about that. I'd be like, I imported for a half hour. Stabilizer, changing the threads, packaging, and all that stuff. And my profit was only $1. I don't know how I would feel about that. I don't think I would feel that good. You know what I'm saying? So think about that. Just something else that I just want you guys to think about. I know I'm giving you guys a lot to think about. I'm always giving you guys stuff to think about. But anyway, it's just stuff that, you should be going through your mind. Okay. So don't sell yourself short. Be careful with that. Okay. Hey Elma, how you doing? Yep, New York, enjoying family time. Yep, that's mom. Let me tell you, me and Nancy will tell you, my mom knows how to party. Okay, I think she's 87, 87. I don't know. 87. I think she is. I think she turns 87 this year, but that old lady can party, that's for sure. Hey Becky, how are you? How you doing? So happy. Yep, up and about, doing great. Yep, she is. She's a pistol, that one. I can't wait to go visit her again so I can see. Oh, and Barb says, I quote all my jobs and they have to sign the quote before moved into invoicing for payment or before starting the order. And this is the other thing that I do, Bob. I make sure I get full payment up front. I don't want half or anything like that. It's got to be full. Okay. I don't turn on that machine. I don't. Okay. The reason is because people can get shady. I'm telling you, people get shady. I've seen it. I've heard the horror stories from other people where they've collected half the payment, and the customer comes, and then next thing you know, they're like, oh, I thought that was the full thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got to be really, really careful, you know? She's complaining about the cold weather and misses the warmth of Florida. Yeah, that's mom. That's what my mom does not like the cold weather at all. She doesn't. Let's see. Where else? Hey Debbie White, how are you? Let's see, I'm going down. Oh, my mom's mango tree is looks like we're gonna have a lot of them next year. Yeah, my sister and my mom both got a mango tree around the same time, and that's another reason why I want to go over there, because I know those those mangoes will be really ready for me. And I love eating the mangoes from my mom and my sister's trees because they're fresh. And when I go to the supermarket, it's not the same thing because it's processed. So yeah. But let's see. Hey Harmony, how are you? How you doing, girl? It's good to see you. I hope you're doing good. Let's see. Okay. Hey Barb. Let's see. I charge the customer for digitizing as a line item in the quote and the invoice. I do that as well, but sometimes what I will do is if I get a bulk order or something like that, then I will incorporate the price of the digitizing into the item. And look who is here to say hi. You want to say hi, Mello? Are you saying hi to everybody? You want to say hi? There you go. He has to do his cameo every Friday. Right now, you got to do your cameo every Friday. Look at that tail. That's a happy dog. Hey Angela, how you doing? Plus anything on Etsy above $35 is automatic free shipping. Very, very true. That is another thing also. Anything over $35, automatic free shipping. So make sure you calculate all of that. Okay. Oh my goodness, you and that tail. Make sure that you calculate all of that, because a lot of times what will happen is you can have a listing out there. The next thing you know, if it's like Bob said, if it's over $35, you're going to be eating those shipping costs. So make sure that you add that shipping into the cost of the product and stuff. Yeah, Bob doesn't. She doesn't use Etsy. Bob, do you sell on any platform, or you just do local sales? I think you just do local sales and stuff. I don't remember you saying that you sell on any platform and stuff like that. Right, Mello? Right, Mello? Look at that. Look at Mello. Look at Mello. Oh my goodness, you're just too cute. He gets mad at me sometimes because since I go to work full time, he spends more time with his father now. So when I come home, he gives me that dirty look, like, how dare you leave me for the whole day, right? Oh, you're so cute. Look at that. Oh, the love, the love. Look at those eyes. Yeah, boo boo. You're too cute. You're too cute. That's my Bubba. Right, Papa? And he's been going for a lot of walks too, because now my husband's going on all these like long walks, and he takes Mello. Doesn't Daddy takes you for walks, right? Daddy takes you for a walk? He takes you for a walk? Does he take you for a walk? We could go tomorrow. Not now. It's late. Okay, so I think I shouldn't have said the W, because he knows that word. You know that word, don't you? You do. Yeah, look at that. He's poking. Okay. Hey, Miss Parker, how are you? How you doing? Hey, Rita, how are you? Let's see. Going down, going down. Hey, to be young, gifted, black. Hey, how are you? Hey, Peggy, how you doing? Watch her face. She's so passionate on this. Leslie, you funny. I do make funny expressions, though. You should see me at work, especially when I know somebody ain't telling the truth. I mean, I can never hide it. I cannot be a poker player, because at work, when somebody says something, I'd be like, right. I always give that face and stuff. But you're funny. Hey, Veronica, how you doing? Let's see. Okay. Is there any other places to sell online besides Etsy? Yeah, Linda, there is. Okay, well, you can do eBay. Some people do eBay. Some people do Amazon. Oh, Michael's now has a marketplace. They have that as well. The thing with, some people, what they do is they start a Shopify shop. The problem with that, okay, is that you have to draw the audience to your own shop. Okay, so the traffic, you have to attract the traffic. So you got to tell people to come to you. Okay, what I kind of like about platforms such as Etsy and eBay, now there's Michael's marketplace. I know they're trying to start that up, but I don't know how successful it is right now. But what I like about those platforms is you really just have to list the item, and they are the ones that do all the work to attract the people. Okay, and that way they go ahead and they start searching for whatever products they want, and if your product pops up and they like it, they'll buy it. But when you go ahead and you create your own website, you're the one that has to actually go out there and find the audience for it. You're the one that's going to have to market that website, do the advertisement, and draw the people to it. And I kind of find that could be more work, but it just depends, right? So, and it depends on how you want to manage it. I prefer to just put me, because I'm so busy right now. Maybe when I retire, maybe I will explore that and create my own site to create my own products and market it myself and see how that goes. But I kind of like doing the Etsy or and I haven't done any of the other platforms because it can get kind of busy. If you do a whole bunch of platforms, then remember you got to manage all that. Like even there's like TikTok shops and all that kind of stuff. And each platform has its own set of rules also, regarding shipping and all that, and how you handle the listings and how you collect the money and how they pay you. Everybody's different. So it's like if you end up with a whole bunch of different platforms, you got to make sure you have the time to manage all of them. I don't have that time. I don't have that luxury right now because I'm still working full time, and during the week. So it I have to try to keep things as simple as possible. So I mostly just sell locally to other small business owners or people that just need certain things to be embroidered, little onesies and stuff like that. I like working on small orders as well. So I kind of stick to that so that way it makes it nice and simple. It can get kind of busy already with the way I do things, especially when I have a lot of small business owners that sometimes they come and they bring bulk items. And when I get a bulk item, sometimes one order can take me a whole day to finish. And then I have my Etsy shop, right? And so for me to go ahead and start adding more, I could be overkill for me. All right. I actually schedule time for myself. Like this weekend, this is my weekend. I am not embroidering anything for anybody. This is my weekend for me to have and enjoy. So I have to schedule my folks and everything. So, there is other platforms out there. You just have to look, read up on them. Everybody has their own different fees, like I said, their own rules, their own way to list things, and how they want you to ship things. And you just got to make sure you're familiar with that, and then just find the platform really that's right for you. It really, Etsy does work for me. I did hear that some people do have issues with Etsy, but a lot of times I find out that sometimes I'm not saying that it's their fault, because I'm sure that there have been some mistakes made, but I have seen people sometimes get their shops shut down because of copyright issues, customer complaints. They're not meeting Etsy's requirements. So it depends, right? So that's why sometimes, I know me personally, I haven't had a bad experience with them. It's been pretty good so far. I've been a star seller for over a year, since they started that star seller program. So it works for me, and I will continue using that platform. I would like to use others, but like I said, right now it's not something that I can really invest the time in because my time is pretty thin. So I have to make sure that I'm very smart at how I manage my time. So, but yeah, but I hope those that I named, Linda, are places that maybe you can explore, to see if maybe you want to try some of those platforms. Um, let's see. Debbie said, I stitch an eagle on the back of my denim jacket. It's gorgeous. My test stitch became a pocketbook. 23 color changes. See, 23 color changes, 15 colors, and 26,000 stitches. Love it. But think about it, Debbie. I mean, you did that for you, okay? But could you imagine if you were doing that for someone, a customer? You would have to think of all that when you are creating the price for it, right? Depending on how big. I know you said it's 26,000 stitches, 23 color changes. That's a lot. That's a lot of color changes. So I can only imagine the amount of detail that is on that eagle. And and it's probably time consuming, right? So my guess is probably that was probably an hour or over an hour to stitch out. And if that's the case, think about it. If you had a customer that came to you with that, how much would you charge? Right? So, I mean, that's why I'm saying sometimes you really have to think about some of the things, the orders that you take. Never, ever, ever throw a price from the very beginning. I don't care how simple it is, even if you think that it's an easy stitch or whatever, keep your mouth shut. Don't give out a price. Okay. Just come out and say, I'll get back to you tomorrow. So you can really think about it. Because once you throw a price out there, it can be kind of difficult not to honor that. Okay. And you don't want the customer to then think you're being all shady and stuff, you know. Um, I ordered. Oh, thank you, Marlene. I appreciate that. The second, and you know how many of those hoops I have? 1, 2, 3. I have 5. I have 5 of the 5 of those small mighty hoops, and the reason why I have so many is because of a lot of the embroidery that I have with small business owners is really the left side chest, the chest logo, and that way I have shirts that are already pre-hooped. So as soon as a machine stops embroidering, I just have to take it out and then put the new one in, hit the start button, and then keep it going. Okay, so I have a couple of videos where I have shown you guys how I actually do multi big orders and stuff. But yeah, I have about 5 of them. And sometimes I'm even thinking about buying more myself and stuff. I think I should buy maybe an extra 8x9, and maybe like get 2 more of the 5.5 mighty hoops and stuff. But I appreciate you using my code and stuff. So thank you so much. Let me see. Um, you are really lucky to live next to that blank. I am. You are correct. And what it is Bob is talking about, there's a warehouse that's right by my house. Then they sell blanks, polo shirts, and all that kind of stuff. I am lucky. I do buy blanks from them, by the way, for some of the stuff that I sell, or even for stuff that I want to make for myself. And I even get my work clothes from there, okay? Because they sell some really nice polo shirts and stuff. So and I like to wear them. Very decent prices. I get them at wholesale prices and stuff. And what I love about it is that when customers come to me and they want to place the bulk orders, I send them straight there, and I tell them, hey, you already have a business license. You have, create a business account with them. That way you can buy all your blanks from them and then just bring the blanks to me. But yeah, I'm very, very fortunate about that. I count my blessings on that because I use it all the time. And for you guys that don't know, the name of the warehouse is Atlantic Coastal Cotton. That ACC. That's the warehouse that's right by me. They're located in Gainesville, and they have a lot of stuff here. I got their catalog. Let me get you the catalog. This is the place. No, I don't want to drop my stuff here. This is their catalog for 2023, and this is the name of the company that's right by me, Atlantic Coastal Cotton. And this is and this is the other thing too. This is their catalog. Shirts. They have shirts, they have jackets, they have hoodies, they have hats, a whole bunch of different hats and everything. And they sell them all wholesale. Bags and stuff. So usually what'll happen is a customer comes and I will take this book out, and I tell them, this is the address of where they are. They're right by me. They're in Gainesville, Virginia. So what I do is I usually take the book out, when they're asking about the shirts, and I tell them you can go ahead and you can pick it from here. But they also have, like, when you go over there, they do have a little section where they have samples laid out. And I actually tell the customers, go there and go to the little sample shop, because there is where you get to touch and feel it. Because like I was saying before, sometimes people don't like 100% cotton or 100% polyester, or they don't like the touch and feel. Maybe the shirt feels too rough, or maybe it's too soft. I prefer that they go there, look at it, hold it, and then they know what it is that they want, and they can order it right there. And I always give them 2 options. You can order it, bring the blanks to me, or order it. Okay. Let me know you ordered it and just shoot me an email, after when it's ready for pickup, because they can order it, pay for the blanks right there. And then I'll just send my son, or I'll go and I'll pick up the blanks, bring them here, and then I'll do the embroidery. And all I do is charge for the embroidery. It makes it so much easier and stuff. I have a client that wants me to embroider their restaurant napkins. I provide them a sample, and my napkins was 18 by 18. They like it smaller, which they will provide. Oh, so they don't like the 18 by 18? 18 by 18, I think, is the standard. But if they want it smaller, usually they also have 16 by 16, Marley. They have that size too. But one of the things that you can do is just tell them, because there's so many types of different dinner napkins out there. What I would do is tell them, go buy the blanks, and then you just charge for the embroidery service. It makes things so much easier. It really does. Because when you have to go out there and you have to search for the blanks and all that stuff, it can be a pain. It can really be a pain. It can. Hey, Valentina, how you doing? Watching from Utah. I gave an estimate of $5 per client, and the client thought it was too much. They're looking to do between 500 to 1,000. I don't think that's a lot, $5 per. Well, it depends on the design. It depends on the design and stuff. And if they think that, I mean, I sell sometimes. I sell mine for more than that sometimes. But Marlene, it depends on the design. How complex is their design? And also, how long is it going to take to stitch that design? If you're talking about a 1-2 minute stitch, then okay, you could go a little lower. Now, because they're looking to do 500 to 1,000. Let me see. But like I said, it's and they're providing the napkins. Okay, if they're providing napkins, that means there's no cost of materials for you. Let me take out my little calculator over here, and let me see what I can come up with. What I would do in my area. Okay, 5. Hold on. Give me a minute. Let me see something. I would okay. See, I don't know what the design looks like. Okay, I don't know. But if the design was super simple, and I'm talking about maybe a 3-minute stitch or something like that, then I would probably maybe do $3 a napkin or something like that. But if the design is complicated and it has multiple colors and all that kind of stuff, I think $5 is simple. And if they say that's too much, then let somebody else do it, because you're not going to work for free. Like I said, some of my dinner napkins, I charge up to $8 for one. So $5 to me is not bad. So, I would not change that price, honestly. And then I don't even know what the design looks like, and I'm sure it's probably complicated and stuff. I learned from Jeanette, always check the reviews, especially the bad ones. It's true. It is true. Hey, before you close, could you give me your opinion on embroidering a waffle hand towel? And what is too plush to embroider a towel? Okay. For a waffle hand towel, which I embroider those all the time. I just use water soluble stabilizer on the top. That's it. Now, what is way too plush? When I'm talking plush, I don't have anything real plush in front of me. Okay. When I'm talking plush, I'm talking about, look at your bath towels, the ones that you go to take a bath in. When you look at the surface, you're going to notice that it's very fluffy, right? You got like loops of thread and stuff like that. There's a height to that material. You got, that's what I mean by it's very plush. The waffle hand towels are not. Okay, these are, I'll show you. Hold on. A waffle hand towel is something like this. Okay, these are the ones that I use. See how it's a waffle? Okay, it has a little raise to it, but it's not like a dramatic raise, right? So you can just take water soluble stabilizer and you can put it on top and then just embroider on it, and then you're fine. But if you have something that is, I don't have anything like that now. Very plush, like a blanket. This is what you do. On my channel, do a search for knockdown stitches. Okay, in that video, that is plush, and that is where I say you should use knockdown stitches, and you're gonna see why. Okay, so when you go to my channel, just do that search on the channel, just type in knockdown stitches, and right there in that video, as soon as you don't have to watch the whole thing, but when you see the blanket that I'm working on, that will tell you plush. But you do not have to use knockdown stitches when you have this type of towel. You don't. Okay, this is not raised that high. Okay, it's not that raised that high, so you can put water soluble stabilizer on top of this and embroider on it, and you're golden. Okay, so I hope that helps to be young, gifted, and black. I hope that helps. But seriously, go to the channel, look that up. Just look up knockdown stitches. You're going to see what I'm talking about when I mean plush. Okay, and that will help you. Jeanette, did you have? Yes, I did. As a matter of fact, I did Pretty Eyes, and I was playing with it. But let me give you, okay, I was going to do a video on it, but I did not have enough time, so I was thinking of doing it this weekend. But I like it, but then at the same time, I don't know about it. Okay, because I think this is a good thing if you want to just check your bobbin tension. Sorry. Ooh, you could tell. Sorry, I didn't mean to yarn. Sorry. If you want it, just the bobbin tension, this is good. Okay. However, though, sometimes the tension issues isn't really just the bobbin. Okay. Sometimes it can be other things too. So I like to kind of like not just do this, but also just test the tension on the actual machine and stuff like that. But I did figure this out. I did, and I will. You know what? I will do the video on it this weekend, because this is my weekend. This is my weekend. I don't have no orders, so I can do this, and I have it out. And I played with it, and I liked it. I did, but I was kind of like, all the embroidery that I do, I always had it here, and I never really had the need to take it out. So I don't know if any of you guys use this religiously or not. I think it's good to have, because in case like your tension is off and you can't figure it out, you just want to know if it's actually the bobbin, then this would be, a good gadget to have to help you troubleshoot. But I honestly have never really used it. Okay. So, but I'll do a video to actually show you guys how this is actually done. But I was able to figure it out. So, Pretty Eyes, yeah, I'll definitely do that. Hey Tina, how you doing? She is absolutely correct. Don't use cheap, cheesy products. No dollar store dish towels, napkins, etc. Purchase the good quality products. Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you something. Customers know cheap. They do know cheap. So be careful with that, okay? If you want to do the cheap stuff, that's fine. That's fine. But I'm gonna tell you, embroidery is time consuming. So to do it on something very cheesy, I don't know. I wouldn't do it. I would use that stuff to practice, but it's not something that I would use to sell. Okay. Um, Leslie said, I use the dollar store for there you go. In the world, when it comes to my finished products, it's all good brands. There you go, Leslie. All right. Um, do you purchase your items at vendor or local stores? And I always try wholesale first, go from there. I'm getting to the point where I don't want to provide the product, they can. I don't mean be that rude, Leslie, and I got you on that, because that's how I do it. Because this is the problem that I have. If you're the one that's providing the product, you could end up with an inventory of stuff, and I don't want my house to turn into a warehouse. I don't. Okay. I don't mind having a couple of products here and there, but I do not want to hold, I don't want a whole bunch of shirts, sweatshirts, and stuff like that in my house. I really don't. I don't. It's not what I want. I just want to charge for the embroidery only. Because then, I don't know. I just don't want the mess here. Let's see. Thank you so much for regarding the mystery of pricing. Oh, you're welcome, Sevi. Hey, Fifi TV. Hola. Got here late, but I'll definitely replay out enough. I just watched your older pricing video guide this week. I'm so glad for a refresh. Oh, thank you. Hey, Kimberly. How you doing? Hey, neighbor. Thanks for sharing great information. Oh, you're welcome. I'm getting ready for my first craft fair and have to sort out my pricing on all my items. It's quite the task. You know what? Congratulations on your first fair event, and I hope you do really well. I'm sure you're going to do great. I'm sure. And it is a task. It really is. You got to put some thought into it and stuff. You don't want to sell yourself short, but at the same time, you want to make the sales and stuff. But just make sure that you really focus on the pricing and make sure that you're pricing really well. I always like you guys always hear me say it, I like to be fair. That's how I do it. I like to be fair. I'm not out to rob you, but at the same time, I'm not here to work for free. So, but you'll find the balance. You really will. Marnie said, when I started, I went crazy and brought so many items that now I have plastic containers with unused items. Yep, that happens. I've been using it to make simple and post on Facebook. I'll be able to move some items slowly. Yep. And I just don't want to get into the business of having a whole bunch of stuff. I really don't. And embroidery involves so many facets. I think the cheap stuff from China makes people expect cheap, just like for quilts. Fabric is $13 a yard. Real quilts take tens of hours and cost a fortune to make. Yes, Debbie, thank you for bringing that out. That is one thing that I have really learned. My sister is really big on the quilting. She loves to quilt. But I will tell you, the level of skill it takes to make a quilt is very high. You really have to be very good at your sewing, and you got to be very good at your cutting, because you're piecing things together. And then you have to actually quilt it and bind it. That takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And, a lot of times people think that, oh, I'll pay you $10 for it. Are you kidding? It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. Embroidery is really the same too. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, takes skill set, just like quilting. And, that's why I say it's very, very important that, you make sure you price accordingly, because this is not something that a regular, factory, it's not factory made. This is handmade stuff. Okay. So you want to make sure that you are getting the right profit for all your hard work. But yeah, quilting is really, really, really important. Jeanette, you're a wonderful one. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm here to help. That's, I just like to share the information. and stuff. Right now, I'm in a hobby phase, but I could see myself selling embroidery later on. I'm enjoying it so much, especially when things go wrong. And you know what, Fifi TV Designs, Tiffany, um, that is the right attitude to have, especially when the things go wrong. Because when things go wrong, that is when you learn. That's when you're like, oh shoot, I should not have used that stabilizer with that fabric. Oh, I should have slowed down the machine. Ooh, I used the wrong needle. That is how you learn, and that is actually how you become very, very good at what you're gonna do. So it's like that is, I love the attitude. That's what I'm talking about. Positive, keeping that positive focus. And believe me, you're gonna be selling in no time and stuff. But have fun with it. Have fun with it. Enjoy it, and don't be afraid to reach out to people and ask for questions and stuff like that. You will be amazed at how many other embroiderers are willing to share their experience with you. So, just enjoy it. And Tiffany, you're going to do just fine. You really are. Hey, this lady D, how are you? How you doing? Oh yes, like Debbie said, guys, if you really like this video, please hit the like button and please subscribe. I finally made 20,000 subscribers. It took me quite a while to get there. Because for the longest, it was like I kind of like pretty slow, but that's okay. But I hope you like this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up, because that way it goes into the algorithm. I know I jacked that word up, but maybe that way other people can see the video, and share the video if you have other friends that are into embroidery and they don't know what to consider and think about when they're pricing stuff and everything. This video might help them out. Okay. As always, another great session. Thanks for sharing. Oh, you're welcome. Newbies should watch all of Jeanette's videos for understanding. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. You said it right. Oh, I did. Oh, okay, great. Let's see. Tiffany, I say this all the time too. When I shop now, I find myself examining the clothes and see what they use. I have an album called I Can Totally Make That. Yep. And I'm always looking at clothes that have embroidery on it. And I always like to look at the embroidery to see how they did it. Did they use cutaway? Did they use tearaway? How many sheets did they use? I always do that too. Hey, Francisca, how are you? Hey, Jenny. Oh, everybody loves Mello. Mello's a dog. How are you? I like to know if you offer classes one-on-one of embroidery. I don't, Francisco, I don't do the class thing. I usually, all my teachings is really through the YouTube channel. I do have a playlist, for the SC 1900 where I go over a lot of the features of the machine. So what I recommend, Francisca, is just go to the channel and look up whatever topic it is. I have over 500 videos on the channel and stuff. I'm sure I probably have something that you're trying to learn. Also join the Facebook group that I have, which is Embroidery Happy Hour Adventures. If you ever get stuck, ask away there. The people there are phenomenal. I mean, they will always answer your questions and help you out. And we have even had a couple of our Facebook group members go as far as sometimes even do little videos to show you how to do things and stuff. So, but I don't offer the one-on-one, at least not right now. Still working full time and stuff. But once I hit that retirement button, that could be a different story. I could probably do that. Maybe it's something that I could probably think of doing one-on-one lessons with folks and stuff. I don't know if people would be interested in that, but I would be more open to do more other stuff once I hit that retirement. Right now I am still working. So it gets kind of crazy, and I don't want to really wear myself out, especially when I have holidays. Like I know Mother's Day's coming up. that with Mother's Day's coming up, I know a lot of my online sales kind of like really ramp up during that period. So I got to get ready for that. So, until I retire, when I retire, I promise I will be more into, I could probably do one-on-one lessons. I could probably, I've even was asked if I could do embroidery lessons at a sewing shop by me. And I think I'm going to take them up on that offer, because I think that would be really fun, because I do love to teach and all that kind of stuff. And I think that would be really, really cool. So I'll probably do that when I retire. I do want to do the embroidery lessons, but I also doing one-on-one. I may do it. I may do it. But right now I can't. I can't do it, Francisco, because my schedule is just way too tight. I wish I could, but I can't and stuff. But watch the channel and stuff like that, because you might see something there that can help you. Okay. Retirement. Yeah, I know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Hey Mary, how you doing? I'm soaking up everything you said. Thank you so much. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Debbie says she's been retired 14 years. I give it a thumbs up. Took years away from my midnight shift sleep schedule. Debbie, I am looking forward to it. I am hoping that I can do an early retirement. If I can, then I'm going to go for that. That's for sure. If not, then I got a year and 5 months to go. Who's counting? I'm counting. That's right. I'm counting. I got my little countdown on my iPhone, and I'm determined. But I think I'm going to try to go for that early retirement, and let's see if it gets approved. I don't know. We'll see. You'll still get up early. I know I will. I know I will. Boss says, great. My first sewing order recently. Sewing plus embroidery. Congratulations. That's awesome. That is awesome. I want to be able to do that. Right now, I'm just selling embroidery services. I have not been doing any projects where it's sewing and embroidery, but I do want to do that, because I think that would be something fun to do. So, like I said, when I retire, hopefully, let's see. Jeanette, you speak Spanish? If yes, can you do a Spanish YouTube? I don't do the Spanish YouTubes. I do speak Spanish. Sí, yo hablo mucho español, pero I prefer the English. However, though, there's an embroidery channel that is in Spanish, okay, and it's from my friend Liliana, and her channel is Embroider Now, which is ENBRINOW. Embroider Now. Liliana, she does all her videos in Spanish, and it's very similar to the things that I do, and you would learn a lot. As a matter of fact, I love watching her videos because it's all in Spanish, so I feel like I'm talking to a girlfriend in Spanish, because where I live, there's not, we got Spanish people here, but the people that I work with, I got 2 people that I work with that are Spanish, so I love to talk to them in Spanish because I get to practice my Spanish. But at home, I don't get to practice my Spanish because my husband's he's not Puerto Rican. Carlito didn't want to learn Spanish, growing up. So I don't have nobody to talk to in Spanish at home. So at work, I get to practice a little bit. And then when I visit my mom, I talk Spanish with her all the time. So I don't do the Spanish YouTube, but try Liliana at Embroider Now, because she does Spanish, and stuff. I could do it, but sometimes my words come out a little twisted, and then mommy gets mad at me, and then she always tells me, se te está olvidando el español, which means, now you're forgetting your Spanish, but it's because I don't really get to speak it, because my husband, he is half French, half African American, and he doesn't speak French, because I guess he didn't want to learn when he was growing up, but his mom's from France. His father's African American, so he just speaks English. When Carlito took Spanish, but he understands it, but he doesn't speak it. So when I'm at home, I don't have anybody to practice. So usually what I'll do is I'll listen to like the Spanish channel so that I could keep the Spanish going. I love my Spanish movies. They're so melodramatic, I tell you. Everybody's like, oh, it's like that's why sometimes like my sister laughs, because my mom, she gets very dramatic, especially when something happens. She's like, oh, Dios mío, whatever. And I'm like, oh my God. And I always tell my sister, oh my God, it's those freaking novelas, because the Spanish soap operas, I don't know if you guys are have ever watched any of them, but when something happens, it's like you have that music like dun 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 dun, and then they're like, and then they focus on the person's face, and they're like, So anyway, I got off topic. But Francisca, look at Liliana's channel and Print now, and I got a feeling you're gonna like her, because hers is all Spanish, all of them are Spanish, and she teaches very, very good too. She's really good. Hey Erica, how are you? How you doing? Hello. Let's see. A real quick question. I'm having trouble with my tension on the 6th needle. Have you ever had that problem? Yes. And I do have a video on the channel on how to fix that. So look up tension on the channel and you will see a video on how to fix that on the multi-needle machine. There's a way that you can do a test and all that stuff. I think the video I did on the 10 needle machine, but it's the exact same way on the 6 needle machine. No different. The only thing is I got 4 extra needles. That's it. But it's the same process. But I do have something on the channel. The supervisor is slacking tonight. He's been slacking lately. He really has, Rita. Let's see. Hey, Robin. Everybody's saying hi to Mello. Only sells on Etsy. I only really sell on Etsy too online. I just do. I mean, I've looked at the marketplace and all that stuff, but I haven't really done anything. I probably will later on, but like I said, right now I just don't want to get into too much stuff. And the next thing you know, I'm very disorganized and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to do all that. Let's see. Going down. I'm see if there's. That is real. No poker face. Erica knows because she works with me. So she has been in meetings with me, and when somebody says some BS, she kind of always cracks up because she would look at me because she knows I'm going to make a face like, really? So I have no poker face. You don't want to play poker with me, I'll give the game away. That's for sure. Let's see. Oh, Facebook. Yeah, Facebook does have marketplace. You could do that. I sold a couple of things on marketplace, but I don't really post that much on that. Let's see. I love your packaging and card for the order you sent me. I bought the pins that I brought from you on my name tag in Brilliance, digitizing with. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you liked it. Thanks, Debbie. Debbie says, stay away from Etsy if there's copyright concerns at all. Yes. Etsy will shut you down. They will shut you down. That is for sure. Etsy is awesome, but I'm already having someone bootleg my work. Oh no. And there's nothing I can do about it. That kind of sucks. I've heard of those types of issues, Bob. Let me see. I'm going down. No one is willing to pay for a 2-hour stitch out. And you have a very good point there. And the thing is, it takes so long that when you get the price, that's why I'm gonna be honest, when it comes to those type of jobs, I don't accept them. I really don't. I don't accept them. Those are jobs that I'll do for me. Or if I'm doing a gift for a friend. Because I know that customers are not going to pay that, I tell them right up front. I tell them that's a huge job. It's going to be very expensive. So I don't do it. Very time consuming. And I just let them know up front. I don't take jobs that are that time consuming. You know, I let them know it's very, very, very expensive. Let's see. Gonna go down. Let me get some water. Okay, I see it's just conversations between you guys. Okay, I think I'm good. Oh, I see another one. Jeanette, been renovating our house, and the master bedroom is going to be my new shop. You inspired me so much that I know this is my year. You go, girl. It is. Claim it. It's yours. I want to thank you for everything you do in your time. Jenny, you're very, very welcome. And I'm happy for you. And you know what? When you are done with your shop, you have it all decorated, post a picture. I would love to see it. Oh my God. That's like so cool. Be an excellent teacher for classes. Something I miss, actually. Oh, thanks. I think I would have fun teaching. I really think I would. So I think I am definitely going to explore that. And I think I probably will do teaching at a shop or something like that. I would love that. We speak Spanglish. That's right. I'm a New Yorker. I do. And my son blames me for not teaching him, but he didn't want to learn. He knows very little. Same thing with Carlito. And this is the other thing too, Diane, because I'm a New Yorker, we kind of really learn the street Spanish, right? So what happens is if we teach our kids when they go to learn Spanish in high school, they're going to fail because they know the street Spanish, and what they teach in the schools is the proper Spanish. I ain't gonna lie, I failed Spanish. Okay, and I do speak it. But the thing is, I speak the street version. It's not, and sometimes countries have used different words for different things. So, I'm Puerto Rican, so would you repeat the vendor that you use? Someone wrote it up here. Where is it? I will show you. There it is. This is the vendor that I use. Okay. That's the vendor. I use him for wholesale. Now, he's only one of the vendors that I use. I also use jiffyshirts.com and stuff. There's SS Activewear. That's another vendor. There's a lot of places. So if you were to go ahead and you were to type wholesale, you would find a whole bunch of different vendors out there. You are very, very welcome. Congrats on the 20K. Thank you. I made it to 20,000. But your channel, I mean, oh my God, you're probably gonna hit 100K, I think, by the end of this year. And for you guys that don't know, this is his channel. And so he has about, I think the last time I checked, you were like in the 80s or something like that. So I think you're gonna hit your little plaque soon. Let's see. Hey, C. McKee, how are you? You are very welcome for the information. Let's see. I'm gonna scroll down. Let's see. And what's the name of your sister's channel? Her channel is called Gifts HQ. Let me see. I have her CD here, and she also writes music. So this is her CD. If you go to giftshq.com, this is a crafting CD that she does. This one, I believe, is volume 2. She has 2 CDs. She has volume 1 and she has volume 2. This one's volume 2. And this is the name of her channel, which is Gifts HQ. She has actually 2 channels. She has Gifts HQ and then she has Gifts HQ Music. So if you want to hear like little bits of what is on her CD, that is where you would go. You could go to Gifts HQ Music into that YouTube channel, but she does lives every Saturday at noon. She's mostly into quilting. She does some embroidery as well, but she's more of a sewer and a quilter, and she's really, really good at what she does and stuff. And yes, that is the name of her channel and stuff. She's pretty good. Love her channel also. Come to the channel tomorrow. It's at noon. She does Crack the News. It's at noon Eastern Standard Time. And she does games. She does games with her viewers and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty cool. Nancy's, yep, I love her stuff too. I love her songs and stuff. Hey, Crafty Puerto Rican, how you doing? And this is another channel you guys can watch, Crafty Puerto Rican. She's pretty good too. She's very, very detailed when she shows how to do things and everything. So she's really good. All right, guys. So I am done for this evening and stuff. I'm going to get some rest, and then I'm going to get up early in the morning, and I'm going to play in my room. I'm actually going to play here. So this whole weekend is my weekend. I'm excited. I know it's going to be raining, but that's okay. I'm just going to hang out, embroider some new designs, play with some projects and stuff, and I'm just going to enjoy my weekend. So as I'm enjoying my weekend, I hope you guys are enjoying yours. Happy sewing, happy embroidering, and thank you so much for spending Friday night with me. Have fun, and I hope you really did enjoy today's topic. I know that I didn't give you guys formulas, but I wanted to give you at least something for you guys to think about. So when you are creating these pricings, I know this can be a really tough topic, something that's really hard to do, but as you get better in embroidering and you start to kind of like just explore where you should be pricing your items, trust me, you're gonna get better. It gets better with time. Okay, so just don't quit, enjoy, do your thing, and it's all going to work out fine. So I will talk to you guys later. Have fun. Have a beautiful weekend, and I will see you guys next Friday. So have a good one. Bye.